Hello there. So, welcome to the channel. I thought what I'd do, I thought I'd do a couple of videos on a kind of retrospective of 2022 and some of the things, the projects that I got finished, well, kind of finished in 2022. So, the first thing I did was, I think I might have bought these maybe just at the end of 2021. There was a deal on at Victrix, and Victrix were doing a Roman army and a Gaulish army in a deal together, and I bought both armies, and it came in a big box, and you might have seen the box in a previous video, and I thought, how am I going to get through this lot, right? So I finished the Romans, so I'm going to just take you through what I did with the Romans. So here we've got the standard Roman army in the red. Now I know we really don't know what colour they wore, okay, but I did mine in red because it's kind of the classic colour. And this is kind of the standard regular legionnaires. Now what I was going to do is organise these into the groups of 8 with the 2 servants. So they're the Contuberniums, which they fought in. So as we all know, they basically fought in small units of 8 men, and those groups of 8 men formed up into larger units, centuries, okay, of 100 men, and then those centuries organised themselves into legions, the legion of 1,000 men. So I spent quite a lot of time painting these up, and I think I've got about 30 or so altogether, all in various different poses. So we've got some guys with the pilum or pilum, as we sometimes might call it. Okay, some guys with the pilum, and other guys just simply running forward with a sword, about to plunge it into a Celt or a Gaul. Okay, I tried to make them as dynamic as possible, because I know that most Roman armies tend to just be lined up in ranks with the shields down, so I wanted a little bit of variety in the way in which mine were organised and the way in which they were kind of standing and fighting. Okay, so alongside the soldiers themselves, we've got their centurion. Alright, so I did a centurion to lead this particular century. Okay, alongside him we've got I think he's a signifier, is he? Yeah, the signifier. Okay, the guy who bears the standard. Okay, standard bearer. Alongside him we've got the Aquilifer, the soldier with the eagle. Okay, let's just pick him up, take a look at him. There we go. The Aquilifer. Follow the eagle to death or glory. Okay, Aquilifer. And then we've got the cornicern, or the cornicern, not sure on the pronunciation. Here's the guy with the cornet, the musician, in his bear fur. There's a mixture of different furs for these, bear furs and wolf furs, and I tried to kind of do bear furs for the certain types of troops and then wolf furs for the leaders, really. I'm not sure historically what they would have worn, but tried to kind of mix it up a little bit for variety. And then we've got the guy who is the kind of, if I can find him, where is he? There he is at the back. Second in command for the centurion, a little bit like the regimental sergeant major for the legion, and he is the optio. Okay, now optio, this stick, stands at the back, pushing the men forward, giving commands, following the centurion. Okay, so a little bit of a regimental sergeant major, the optio, usually a very experienced soldier. Okay, so, and finally the centurion. Okay, I love the feathered hats. I really enjoyed doing these. And I actually put, at the back here, we've got, put him at the front, Centurion on a horse. So a mounted Centurion as well, just in case we need a more senior Centurion. Okay. So I know some people don't like doing Romans because they find them boring. They're basically it's red and silver and that's it. Okay, but I really enjoyed them. I think the point about this is as well, these Victrix Romans are absolutely beautiful. And I know that, you know, everybody's got their favourite manufacturers, but I have got a couple of sprues of the Warlord ones and they're just too stubby. They're too small, they're too stubby. They don't have the same shape as the Victrix ones, so I'm afraid that I'm not impressed by the Warlord ones, not in comparison with Victrix, and I haven't really found any metal ones that I like either. So Victrix are really, for me at the moment, in terms of ancients, they're head and shoulders above almost any other company. So your standard Roman legionnaires, and then of course they will need a group of guys to support them. So you've got the auxiliaries on this side, got the auxiliary units with their spears, mostly spears and javelins, okay, support troops, of course, for the legions. And what I tried to do with these is do them green. So I tried to do the different groups of troops in different colours, okay, just to kind of differentiate them on the battlefield. No one knows if they wore green or not, maybe they did, but I do see most in green. Again, we've got I don't know why this guy hasn't really got a role, but I put him in a wolf fur and I gave him the head of a Gaul that he just shot off. Okay, so he's kind of almost like a kind of veteran auxiliary, and a little bit of blood for the blood god from Citadel for the dead head. Okay, bit gruesome, but you know the Romans. You know we think the Romans have been civilized, but they were still part of the ancient world. You know they still had lots of superstitions. Again, we've got the signifer with his standard, the standard bearer. Very close I can get. There we go. That's a nice one. Okay, he was a little bit tough because with him putting together his arms really put this standard really close to his face, so it was a little bit fiddly to kind of get on. Okay, so the signifer for the auxiliaries, then I gave the auxiliaries an optio, okay, and I gave the auxiliaries a centurion. Now I don't know if the auxiliaries didn't really organise themselves into legions. I think they weren't organised in the same way as legions, so they probably didn't have a centurion, but I've given them one anyway because they need a leader at some point, don't they? Okay, so he is the centurion for the auxiliary force. Okay, and they've also got a cornicern, the musician, and I did another guy as well. I'm not sure what I did with this guy. I gave another guy a kind of a shield with a head on a spike. Now the head's on a spike, so I got from the Gaul set. And I think one of the reasons why I did this was I was trying to differentiate a little bit between the auxiliaries and the Roman legions in the way they looked, because I know the auxiliaries were kind of taken from barbarian tribes, so these could have been Germans from Germanic tribes, so you know they would still have some of their kind of beliefs and they would fight in a slightly different way than the legionnaires. So there's your auxiliaries. Now after I'd done the auxiliaries and after I'd done the Roman legions and I'd done enough of those, I did have quite a few Romans left over. Okay, so I thought, well, I'll do a very small unit of Praetorian guard. Okay, so I did these guys in purple. Okay, another cornicern, another centurion, another signifer, and another optio. Okay, and another centurion on horseback, or probably could be a legate, maybe. You know, a high-ranking politician or leader. Okay, legates were they were a bit of a mixture of experienced politicians, okay, and troop administrators, but also kind of young nobles who would join the ranks of the legions for kind of glory. Okay, they weren't always trusted by the legions. The centurion was the core of the leadership as part of the legions. Okay, so legate, okay, or centurion on horseback. So let's have a little look at some of these. So I really enjoyed I love purple. Purple's a great colour. I do a lot of things in purple, probably too many things, but I really enjoyed doing that. Okay, look at the detail. A lot of this is not my painting. This is the detail that you get with these models. So you know, it makes kind of flatters me a little bit. And all the shields are transfers from Little Big Man Studios, which Victrix also supply. Okay, so he is my Praetorian centurion. Okay, now the Praetorians, the Praetorian Guard, although some people say, oh, they're elite troops, they weren't really. They kind of stayed in Rome and they guarded the Senate and the palaces of the nobility. They kind of weren't really a combat troops. They were more sort of ceremonial guards more than anything else. But I think in some rule sets you do get the Praetorians being given special rules to kind of make them more elite troops alongside the legionnaires, which is fair enough. It gives a bit of variety to the Romans. Okay, finally we get the Roman cavalry, or the equites. Okay, obviously from equus, a horse. Here's me pretending that I know a bit of Latin, but I just read it off a piece of paper. Okay, and I've done these guys in blue. So we've got red, green, purple, and blue. They've also got a signifer, the guy with the symbol. They've also got a mounted. I've given these a couple of mounted leaders because what I was going to do with these is kind of maybe split them into 2 units because there's a lot of them. Okay, we've got another mounted leader there. So probably if I was going to fight with these in the battlefield, they would go to 2 units. 2 units of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. 2 units of 8. Okay, and they've got a trumpeter as well. So the equites, usually they were nobles, the Roman horse, and generally they weren't a big part of the army, were they? Because as we all know about Romans, they were primarily a heavy infantry army, really. And the equites were good though, you know, scouting, fighting around the flanks, useful for running off attackers, bit of skirmishing. They weren't useless, but in terms of their battlefield role, probably nowhere near as important as the heavy infantry. Okay, I would say the auxiliary troops, you know, the light skirmishing missile troops, probably even more important than the cavalry. Okay, so finally, to lead this army, I'm going to avoid some of the Too Fat Ladies fun names for Romans, such as Bigus Dickus and Nautius Maximus. Okay, all right, and this is my general. Okay, let's get in closer. It's my general. And classic Roman haircut. Ave. Hail Caesar. Hail, rain, sleet, snow. Hate this bloody country. Oh, yeah. I was watching Carry On Cleo the other day. What a film that is. What a film. Infamy, infamy. They've all got it, infamy. Okay. And the hunter, what's his name? Jim Dale, when they say, what did you do back in Britain? I was a hunter. What did you hunt? Romans. Okay, love it. So he is my general. Okay, and he looks suitably impressive on his grey horse. Okay, so put him at the front of the army. Okay. So there we go. So there's my Romans. That's my Roman army. So there's enough there probably to fight well, you know, I've got the infamy rules. I've got Warlords of Erewhon actually works really well with Romans. There's Roman lists for Warlords of Erewhon. You can take out the magic. You can easily play as historical. There's obviously Warhammer historical battles. I probably haven't got maybe quite, I don't know, maybe I've got enough for Hail Caesar. Yeah, of course there's Hail Caesar 2 coming out soon, so, but you know, maybe I will leave these as it. I'm not going to multi-base these. I think I'm going to leave them on single bases, and that gives me a bit of flexibility with whatever I want to use them for. Other games, trying to think what else. Oh yeah, Clash of Spears. The Roman edition of Clash of Spears is also, it's been out for a few months. So lots of different games. I mean, Romans will, you know, you can find quite easily a rule set to play Romans in. There's never any issue there with Ancients. Okay. So this really is my first foray into Ancients. This is the first time I've played anything earlier than the Middle Ages, really. Anything earlier than the medieval period. I think, you know, as far back as I've gone before, probably Dark Ages with Vikings. That's probably the furthest back I'd gone. And then this is further back, so this is the Romans. Obviously, probably about 200 AD, something like that. 150 to 200 AD. Roman Britain, late Empire, okay, of course, late Imperial. And of course, Victrix now, they brought out their Romano British as well, so I could have my Vikings fighting the Romano British. They're absolutely beautiful as well. I'll tell you what, I just cannot resist buying some of these things at the minute, but I'm going to have to try, because there's just too much stuff out there. So the Romano British are available now, of course, and a little slightly later, probably around 500, 600 BC, after the Romans had left. Use them to fight your Saxons, fight your Vikings. Okay. And I'm going to go further back as well. I'm going to go back to, well, I'll give you an update in a moment with my new project for 2023. That's going to take me even further back into the ancient world. So this was my first foray into Ancients, but it is definitely not the last. Okay. So, hope you've enjoyed looking at these guys and seeing some of the progress that I've made with them. I'm amazed that I managed to get through all these, to be honest, because when they were sitting in the big box and there's so many packs of them, they were a bit daunting, but it's just a case of getting into it, getting into the zone. It was never a slog, it was never hard work, it was never hardship. I really enjoyed it. I know, as I say, I know a lot of people don't enjoy the repetition of quite a uniformed army, but I did. I really enjoyed it. Okay, so thanks for watching, thanks for checking out the channel. If you're watching for the first time, please subscribe. Nearly 1,000 subs now. It'd be nice if we could get there by the end of the year. That would be really cool, thanks. Please like the video as well, also helps, and any comments, stick them on the descriptions at the bottom, and yeah, So until next time, have a really good new year, and I'll see you soon. Bye.